Have you ever stopped to think about how companies keep your data safe, but at the same time, give their own teams the information they need to get their jobs done? Well, the answer is often this powerful, kind of overlooked tool, the database view. You can think of it as an invisible gatekeeper, working behind the scenes to make data access safe, simple, and super fast. So let's unlock its secrets.
Okay, just imagine this for a second. You've got a team, right? And they need to analyze your company's data. But you can't just hand over the keys to the entire database. No way. So the big question is, how do you give them a window into your data without just swinging the front door wide open for everyone?
All right, let's make this a bit more real. Let's say a financial analytics team needs to build a big report. The problem is, the data they need lives inside your company's highly sensitive payroll tables. You absolutely cannot just give them access to everyone's salary. That would be a total security nightmare. So what do? What's the solution?
And that is where the database view comes in. It is the elegant solution to this problem. It's the tool that lets you thread that needle perfectly, giving them the precise access they need while keeping everything else under lock and key. And this isn't just some nifty little feature. It's really a cornerstone of modern data management.
So what in the world is a view anyway? The best way to really get it is with a simple but honestly perfect analogy. We're going to think of it as a virtual magnifying lens for looking at our data. So here's the more technical definition. A view is a virtual table. And the key word there, the one I really want you to remember, is virtual. It doesn't actually store any data itself. Nope. Instead, it stores a query, which is just a saved set of instructions. Think of it like a recipe. The recipe isn't the cake, right? It's just the instructions for how to make that cake whenever you need it. And this slide just illustrates the concept perfectly. So on the left, you've got the base table. That's like a physical book. It has all the data, and it takes up actual space. Then on the right, you have the view. That's our magnifying lens. It doesn't hold any data itself. It just gives you a really specific, filtered, and totally controlled look at the book.
So what makes this little lens so powerful? Well, first off, whatever you see through it is always live, up to the second data, fresh. Next, it lets you restrict access, which is exactly how we solved that payroll problem we talked about. We can show things like job titles and departments, but completely hide the salary column. It also makes things way simpler by hiding all the complex logic. And maybe best of all, this powerful tool takes up practically zero storage space.
But hey, not all magnifying lenses are the same, right? Just like you'd use different lenses for different tasks, there are different types of views for different kinds of data jobs. Let's take a look at the two most common ones. So on one hand, you have what's called a simple view. This is kind of like looking at just a single page in our book. It pulls data from only one table. But then on the other hand, you have a complex view. Now this is way more powerful. It's like having a research assistant who goes and pulls related info from multiple different chapters, or in our world, multiple tables, and presents it all to you as one clean, seamless page.
Let's jump back to our financial report. A real-world QA team had a super tough task. They needed to validate a top 5 earners by department report. The big problem? The data they needed was scattered across 6 different, very sensitive tables. Trying to query them directly was a complete nightmare. It was slow, it was complicated, and it was a massive security risk.
So, what was their solution? You guessed it, a complex view. It did all the heavy lifting for them, joining the tables, calculating the rankings, and just presented a simple, secure virtual table to the QA team. One engineer said it best, "This dramatically simplified our data validation scripts. It basically turned a messy, risky job into a clean, totally secure one."
Okay, so up to this point, our views have been these live lenses. But what if looking through that lens and piecing together information from 6 different chapters every single time is just too slow? For that, we need a completely different tool. Let's talk about the instant photocopy. This is what we call a materialized view. And get this, it breaks the #1 rule we just learned. A materialized view is not virtual. It's a physical snapshot, a photocopy, if you will, of the query result, and it's stored on a disk. And it exists for one reason, and one reason only: pure speed.
This slide really highlights the core trade-off here. A normal view, our lens, is a live feed. It's always 100% up to date. But a materialized view, our photocopy, well, it's a snapshot in time. It's only as fresh as the last time you hit that copy button.
So that means it has a life cycle. First, you take the snapshot. Then, as the original data in the base tables changes, your copy starts to get outdated or stale.
To fix that, you have to run a refresh process on a schedule, maybe every hour, maybe every night, to go back and basically take a new photocopy with all the latest information.
So you might be asking, why would we even bother with potentially stale data? Well, the answer is right here on this slide. The performance gain is just staggering. Running our top 5 earners report through a normal complex view is like asking the database to do all the complicated math from scratch, every single time. But querying the materialized view, that's like just picking up a pre-printed report. It is lightning fast because all the hard work has already been done.
So, let's just recap. We've explored the live lens and we've explored the instant photocopy. Both are types of views, and both of them act as your data's gatekeeper, helping you balance those crucial needs of security, simplicity, and speed.
When you really boil it all down, it comes down to 3 huge benefits. You get rock-solid security, controlling exactly who gets to see what. You get powerful simplicity, hiding all the messy details and letting people get answers easily. And with materialized views, you get incredible performance, making even the most complex reports run in the blink of an eye.
And hey, before we wrap up, here's a little pro tip for all you data professionals watching. When you create a view, especially for reporting, always add the with read-only option. It basically acts as a safety lock, and it prevents anyone from accidentally changing the original data through the view. It is such a simple line of code that can save you from a major headache down the road. And that brings us to our final thought. The next time you look at a dashboard or a data report at work, just ask yourself, am I looking at the raw, real data, or am I looking at a carefully crafted view? Chances are you're interacting with these invisible gatekeepers every single day, without even realizing it.